I'm Robert Osborne, and welcome. Thanks so much for being here. In the days long before Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, and Ridley Scott were making big, imposing blockbuster movies, there was a man who totally dominated that genre. He's Cecil B. DeMille, one of the pioneers of the movie business, and from the silent film era up until his death in 1959, a name synonymous with movie epics. No one at that time made them quite like DeMille. And he'd probably be shocked to think anybody would ever have to explain who he was. Not only was he extremely famous in his time, he also had an ego which could be also described as epic. Anyway, I bring all this up because Mr. DeMille, the man most known for making mammoth movies during his era, is the director of our next film. And it's a movie I've personally selected to start this night of Bob's Picks. It's called Union Pacific. It was DeMille's one big production from that famous movie year of 1939. Like all of DeMille's films, this one was eagerly anticipated by audiences, and one reason that DeMille's movies were so anticipated, by the way, is because there were so few of them. Sometimes audience would have to wait 2, 3, sometimes 4 years between DeMille films, and it took him that long to make them because of their size. Well, our next movie uses the American West as its backdrop and tells the story of the tough times and determination that it took to bring railroads into the still untamed West. It's a movie that stars Barbara Stanwyck and Joel McCrea, and the supporting cast is loaded with familiar faces. Robert Preston's in it, Evelyn Keyes, Brian Donlevy, Anthony Quinn. Tony at the time married to C.B. DeMille's daughter, Catherine. So, from 1939, here's a rousing epic about the building of the Union Pacific. This was, for the record, the last film producer-director Cecil B. DeMille made in black and white. From here on, all DeMille films were in Technicolor. And when DeMille decided to do a movie about the early days of the railroads, his biggest quandary was which legendary railroad line should he focus on, the Santa Fe or the Union Pacific? And he made his choice in the most scientific of ways by tossing a coin. This movie was actually filmed on locations in Utah, Oklahoma, and on a studio lot that Paramount owned at the time in Canoga Park, California. That's where the Golden Spike ceremony was staged. Not only that, but the actual Golden Spike, which had been driven back on May 10th, 1869, was the same one that was used in the film. It was loaned to DeMille by Stanford University and transported to Hollywood in great secrecy, as if it were a hydrogen bomb or the Dead Sea Scrolls. Up next, another Bob's Pick and another mighty adventure from Paramount Pictures. This one starring Gary Cooper and set in India.
Tonight on Turner Classic Movies, our evening of TCM host Robert Osborne's personal picks continues when British frontier fighter Gary Cooper stamps out invaders in The Lives of a Bengal Lancer. Then prim Professor Loretta Young comes unhinged trying to hide a murder she committed in self-defense and the accused. And nothing is going to stop gunrunner Humphrey Bogart from putting his own life on the line in Scirocco. Turner Classic Movies is right in the line of fire here tonight.
If you ever have any doubt about the power of movies to effect change in the world, to interact with life and fortify the soul, then study the example of Italian cinema. They permanently change the rules of movie making. If I'd never seen the films, I'd be a very different person and a very different filmmaker. They had a powerful effect on me, and you should see them.
Join Martin Scorsese for his deeply personal account of Italian cinema with 20 landmark films, Friday nights in June. Tomorrow at 8, 8:30. Followed by La Strada and The White Sheik, completely commercial-free, only on Turner Classic Movies.
I was a woman who ran the beauty parlor where Dorothy and the Tin Man went to be fixed up. They fixed the lion and fixed his mane, and the Tin Man, they put oil on. You hear me say, "We can make a dimpled smile out of a frown." A fan wrote me and said, "Oh, that line from The Wizard of Oz that you sang so beautifully. That one line they have requested when they want a picture of me, they want me to write Lois January and then say, 'We can make a dimpled smile out of a frown.'" Amazing. They remembered that.
We can make a dimpled smile out of a frown. Can you even dye my eyes to match my gown? Uh-huh. Jolly old town. Clip, clip, still, clip, clip, down. We give the prophet card.
That Satan, heir of savoir-faire in the merry old land of Oz.
Everyone feels rejuvenated at Emerald City, so grab the whole family and join us for our sing-along presentation of The Wizard of Oz. Thursday, July 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern, presented with no interruptions, only on Turner Classic Movies.
Sure of yourself, ain't you, Virgil? Virgil, that's a funny name for a nigger boy that comes from Philadelphia. What do they call you up there?
They call me Mr. Tibbs.
Sidney Poitier is a man I've admired since I was a little girl. Sidney is one of the most honorable people I have ever known or heard of or even read about, and one of the finest actors of our time. He is a courageous trailblazer who helped me realize that it's possible for people like me to dream bigger dreams.
When I came to this town to make my first film, I was at a studio, and I was the only black person other than the chap who shined the shoes.
Sidney has been breaking through social barriers in film from the moment he set foot in Hollywood. Every character he's ever played has had something important to say.
Because I'm Negro, I'm different. Because I'm Negro, I'm not different. I'm different, I'm not different, who cares? Look, I don't have to prove either case. Can you understand that? Come on!
Like that, Maggie?
In 1958, Sidney broke down another barrier. His work in The Defiant Ones earned him an Academy Award nomination. He was the first black man ever to be given that honor. His career has been defined by so many monumental achievements, including the first on-screen kiss between a black man and a white woman. The movie was A Patch of Blue, one of my all-time favorites. I will always remember, as a young girl in Milwaukee, sitting on the linoleum floor watching the Academy Awards. It was 1964. My mother worked as a maid. Black people were called colored then, and I was mesmerized. This elegant, graceful, colored man steps out of a limousine. That night, he won the Oscar as Best Actor for Lilies of the Field. In that very moment, I saw myself in an entirely new light. I thought, if he can be that, imagine what I can be. Sidney Poitier is a man not confined by color.
You think of yourself as a colored man. I think of myself as a man.
When his character says that line, that's Sidney speaking. There's a scene in his movie, In the Heat of the Night, that Sidney asked to be rewritten. He felt his character, Virgil Tibbs, should react to being slapped by slapping back.
Was Mr. Colbert ever in this greenhouse, say last night, about midnight?
Gillespie? Yeah. You saw it.
I saw it.
Well, what are you going to do about it?
I don't know.
He knew that scene would be remembered. And it is. By the late 60s, Sidney Poitier was the most popular movie star in America and #1 at the box office. Soon after, he was directing as well. Sidney's accomplishments have taken him far beyond filmmaking. He's raised 6 daughters and authored 2 books. In 1997, he was appointed by his native Bahamas as ambassador to Japan. And now he has received a second Oscar, this time an honorary one for, quote, his extraordinary performances and unique presence on the screen, and for representing the motion picture industry with dignity, style, and intelligence throughout the world. For more than 50 years, this brilliant, handsome, courageous actor has not just earned our respect, he has commanded it.
You're in my territory now, so sit back and enjoy the ride.
Sidney once said to me, I'm an ordinary person who's had an extraordinary life. An ordinary person. Tell that to a little girl sitting on the linoleum floor watching the TV one night in 1964.
I love you. I know you're good and kind. I know you're colored, and I think you're beautiful.
Beautiful. Most people would say the opposite.
Well, that's because they don't know you.
This ordinary person showed me that anything is possible. You can be colored, and this can happen to you. You can dream bigger dreams, and I am living proof. 36 years later, I was able to tell him that. For Turner Classic Movies, I'm Oprah Winfrey.
Sidney Poitier sets a new standard for leading men as our July Star of the Month, only on Turner Classic Movies.
This is your ticket to Turner Classic Movies. Now playing. Man, what a guy. 24 hours a day.